morning, trustees and staff. My name is Mark Graham, and I live in Elk Grove. It looks like we're missing our board president tonight. Well, in any case, you may wonder about how the federal government regulates radio frequency emissions. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. The Federal Communications Commission is something that's found in different places in the federal government, but it is a co-opted agency. And that is, it ends up serving the interests of the industries that it's intended to regulate. There's a substantial revolving door between FCC and regulated industries, whereby people that work in FCC, when they leave to take a job in industry and vice versa. And this, of course, presents a major conflict of interest. The chairman of the FCC is a man by the name of Tom Wheeler. I don't know if you know the name, but in the early 1990s, Tom Wheeler was the president of the Cellular Telecommunications Industry Association. And that's the lobbying group for all the big wireless telephone companies. Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, and so on. He's very powerful, very accomplished, and it is really a case of the fox guarding the chickens, because he's basically still working for industry. It's just that he's in the most powerful position in the federal government from which to do so. There are flaws in the regulations, the guidelines that the FCC has set for radio frequency exposure. For one, the guidelines were set in 1996 and have not been updated since then. And we know how much technology has changed since then. It's changed tremendously. Federal Communications Commission is not a health and safety agency. And so they have relied, I would say selectively, on other organizations that are engineering organizations, Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers, American National Standards Institute, and so on. And they exist to promote technology. There are many assumptions built into the FCC guidelines on radio frequency emissions. They assume, and this is really a crucial one, they assume that if a certain source of radio frequency radiation does not cause the body tissue to rise in temperature, that it's not doing any harm and can't do any harm. That is a big assumption. It's actually disproven by the scientific research. They assume that a person can endure indefinitely the same amount of radiation that they could endure for 30 minutes.
You have 20 seconds left on that.
Thank you. And that's an unrealistic assumption. If you think about it by comparison to sunlight, you may be able to lay out in the sun for 30 minutes and you're not going to get too bad a sunburn, especially if you have sunscreen on. But if you, on the same day, with or without sunscreen, you lay out for 6 hours, you're going to get a sunburn. And that shows the flaws in that assumption.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.